so many Christians murmuring about their imperfections and their failures and their addictions and their shortcomings, and I see so little war. Murmur, murmur, murmur. Why am I this way? Make war!
Bang with me, bang with me. Never playing games like it's a thing to get risky. So man, if you in Christ, take it all your cross quickly. Feelings on the front line, time to come with it. Hey, do the right thing, wake up and let's get it. I ain't even in the ring, they throwing bows like Riddick. Persistently attacking me, they even in the back of me. It's either fight or lose my life, and I can't take this passively. So what you think I'm about to do? I'm about to do what I can do. Trust the one who got me through and fight like it was after school. Never giving up, steady standing on the battlefield. Deep burn to the ground like I stepped on Chapel Hill. Flesh feeling frisky, seeing persuasion takes me. Satan chants me all guilt, followed by conviction. It's the same old trap where we fall like we defenseless. Focus senses, growing wisdom, determined be relentless. Cause sin never sleeps, it's got me in a trance. You can see it in my dreams. Man, I bleed my flesh, the devil everywhere.
All right, okay. Oh, jeez. All right, hold on a second. All right, glad I caught that. I gotta mute the other. I got the video up on one screen, and all right. So I want to just sort of make a point here. Back, 5 years ago, really this thing on flat Earth really opened up. It really blossomed, and today we see NASA has been pulled down and thrown into the pit. They really have. And when the day of the Lord comes, anybody that doubts that now, they're going to know for sure that NASA has been pulled out of the sky and thrown into hell. And that's because their foundation is built on lies. They're not grounded in the truth. And therefore, they've been cast down to hell. They've been exposed. And it's there for the whole world to see. Okay? So 5-10 years ago, that probably wasn't as easy for people to see. Everybody had their eyes closed. They weren't looking. Now it's there for everybody to see. Okay, so this brings me to what I see going on today. Hold on a second. I thought I heard somebody knocking. Give me a second.
I hear so many Christians murmuring about their imperfections and their failures and their addictions and their shortcomings, and I see so little war. Murmur, murmur, murmur. Why am I this way? Make war!
Bang with me, bang with me. Never playing games like it's a thing to get risky. So man, if you in Christ, take it all your cross quickly. Feelings on the front line, time to come with it. Hey, do the right thing, wake up and let's get it. I ain't even in the ring, they throwing bows like Riddick. Persistently attacking me, they even in the back of me. You see.
All right, it's all good. Nothing to worry about. Okay, so all right, so in today's what I'm seeing today is we've got a bunch of Christian leaders, a bunch of Christian creationists. They call themselves biblical creationist or whatever, and the leaders. You've got people like Ken Ham, Carl Baugh, Eric Hovind, David Rivas, Kent Hovind. I'm going to leave out a bunch of people, but you know who they are. All these people they're on the forefront of the biblical creation movement, if you will, right? But I have to wonder about every single one of them, because in particular, you got somebody like Kent Hovind, Dr. Dino. You've got all these people who are telling you that the the creation account in Genesis is 100% true, and they're right. Okay, but I want to show you something that they're missing. It's so blatantly obvious, and somebody needs to hold these guys' feet to the fire and say, "Hey, what do you believe?" Because they're not giving you the straight scoop, and I'm going to show you. Because in Genesis 6, you know about the flood, but here in verse 19, and of every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Okay, so every one of these creationists, well, every one of these guys, okay, they'll say that, well, the dinosaurs were brought onto the ark. Some of them will say that the dinosaurs died before the ark, and and that goes against this verse right here. That's why I bring this up first, because of every living thing of all flesh, that would indicate every living thing of all flesh. You either believe the Bible or you don't. So, and if you believe it, and it's gonna prove out to be 100% true. Okay, so you're going to be on the wrong side of the fence if you're going to say this verse doesn't count. All right, so of every living thing of all flesh, that means these dinosaurs were brought onto the ark. Now, the non-believer will say, okay, those dinosaurs were, 500 pounds. They were too big. They would never fit, and blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, they're not going to believe, no matter if they were shown the DVD of no one bringing these animals into the ark. They're not going to believe no matter what. So logically speaking, they would have brought in young ones of all sorts. And that way they live longer. That way they reproduce and all that good stuff, right? It just makes complete sense. And they're right about this. These creation scientists, the creationist, they're right about that. But what they get wrong, okay, is they have to say that these dinosaurs were brought onto the ark, and then Noah was in the ark, and then they all got out of the ark, and they were living for a short time, and then the dinosaurs died. So that would have made this event in vain. There would have been no reason at all to bring these animals on the ark if they were going to soon die afterwards. That's ridiculous. That's not what happened. That's not anywhere in the scripture. And it doesn't logically fit in with the whole event of Noah preserving these animals. Does not fit. But that's what these creationists are trying to sell you, that these creatures were brought onto the ark, and then they came off the ark and died, and they became extinct. And essentially making Noah and God out to be either liars or people who do things in vain, because it makes no sense for God to have this be done only to have them die shortly after they get off the ark. I mean, it's just straight up stupid, if you ask me. But that's what they're trying to sell you, and I'm telling you, they're wrong. And somebody needs to hold their feet to the fire and question these guys and make them make a stand on this. Do they believe the Bible or not? And to pretend like they're just ignorant and don't know, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Not when the evidence is out there to show them otherwise. Okay, so one of the, if you look at all the fossils, either hanging up in museums now, all these dinosaur bones, I'm just going to focus on one. I could focus on three of them, but this guy right here, Ron Wyatt. Where is the Ron Wyatts of today? You know, this guy, he went out there and he found Noah's ark. He went out there and he found uh, the evidences of Moses. And he followed his trail and he found all these things. This is at the Red Sea, right off the Red Sea where they crossed. These are the anchors. Okay, and so on and so forth. This guy, he went out there and he found these things in the Bible, this Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so where are the Ron Wyatts of today? And these guys, these so-called Christian creationist leaders, they ain't nothing like Ron Wyatt. They ain't nothing like him at all. Okay, I want to show you something here. You know the Triceratops, right? Very popular. You know, there's not a whole lot of fossils found in the museums, dinosaur fossils found in the museum. But you know this guy. I mean, we've seen pictures of him ever since we were kids. Now we were told these guys are, you know, from the evolutionists, that these guys are 1,000,000 years old. And where's the Christian with the backbone to stand up against these guys? Really? You got Christians coming forward and saying, yeah, they existed, but then they died. Well, how is that any different than what the evolutionists are saying? I mean, they're just trying to cozy up with the evolutionists, aren't they? The people that hate God, the God haters, right? They're just trying to cozy up with them and make them feel good about what they believe when they're dead wrong. These things still exist today. Now, this is not a real one here, but let's take a look at a real one. And you could do this with 3 of these guys. Okay, right here, this is the same creature, bone for bone, the same creature as the Triceratops. Where are the Dr. Dinos of the world? Right? Why aren't these guys taking a closer look at this creature here and making the connection between this and the Triceratops? Where are they? Because it's incredibly obvious, right? Incredibly obvious for anybody who just takes a simple look at this. It's the same creature, the same guy. It's the same guy, bone for bone. The difference is if they showed pictures in the museums, you would see that these guys are rather a pretty good size here. This is one of the biggest ones they found. That's why they put them on display, not the smaller ones. But this guy here is probably bigger than your average dog, or about the size of your dog, right? Okay, so bone for bone, the same. Bone for bone, the exact same. Now they might have to recreate some of the bones that came up missing and stuff like that. And I think people take issue with that. I don't have an issue with it at all. When you got so many examples of the same looking creature, and you've got a living example in the Jackson chameleon, and they all are bone for bone the same animal. So where are the creationists today who are making this connection? See, the thing is, back before the flood, everybody lived 10 times longer, right? And so everybody living 10 times longer, everything lived 10 times longer. Noah lived 930 years. Okay, people rarely even live 93. So I'm being generous when I say 10 times. Okay, so knowing that these creatures lived 10 times longer before the flood, and knowing that it's a scientific fact, you've heard these guys, the same people, say that it is a scientific fact that reptiles never stop growing in size. That's the argument they make for these guys being so big. Reptiles never stop growing in size. But yet they can't figure out the Jackson chameleon is the same guy. They can't figure it out. Why is that? Are they afraid that the godless evolutionist is going to challenge them? Is that what it is, man? Really? Are they afraid that some evolutionist is going to come along and snicker at them for believing that this guy here is the modern day Triceratops? If you're going to go out there and call yourself the doctor of dinosaurs, why aren't you making these connections? What's holding you back, man? Really? What is holding you back? Okay, so these guys, these creatures living 10 times longer before the flood, they would have grown humongous in size, and we've got evidence of that in the fossil record, right? We got evidence of it, and so people say, well, what these guys say, the creationists, they'll say that these dinosaurs, they went off the ark, and then they died, and they became extinct. That makes God a liar. That makes Noah a liar. It makes their work in vain. And the words are written in vain when God says he will save every living creature. So who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe these creationists? Or are you going to believe the Word of God? I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. I mean, if you're going to be honest about this, if you're going to be serious about this, you've got to take a stand. What do you believe? Really? Because we're all going to be judged on these words and what we believe. So it really comes down to what you believe. And, you know, who do you serve? And who are you afraid of, really? Are you afraid of the evolutionist? Are you afraid of being snickered at? You think about what Jesus went through. He was snickered at, he was beaten, he was killed, executed, and all that. And so you're afraid of somebody snickering at you because you present the truth? I mean, what are you afraid of, man? Really? You're afraid to go against the establishment? Am I right? What that verse that I'm looking for is but for me, okay, choose whom you will. Where is that verse? Choose right there. It is. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Okay, that's a powerful statement right there. Okay, so all I wanted to do is point that out today and get some people, if you can, challenge these guys, man. Challenge these guys. I've sent Kit Hovind the question of why can't you make this connection, and he gave a very vague answer, which told me that he's afraid. I don't know what he's afraid of. He's afraid to take a stance. He says he don't know. How could you not know? How could you not see that these are bone for bone, the same creatures as a modern day Triceratops? Now, there's two other creatures that I could get into. But if you don't see this one, you're not going to see the other two. Right? All right, so that's it. That's all I got.
I hear so many Christians murmuring about their imperfections and their failures and their addictions and their shortcomings. And I see so little war. Murmur, murmur, murmur. Why am I this way? Make war!
Bang, bang, but bang with me. Never play games like it's a thing can get risky. So man, if you in Christ, take up. get crossed quickly. Feel it's on the front line, time to come get it. Ay, do the right thing, wake up and let's get it. I ain't even in the ring, they throwing balls like Riddick. Persistently attacking me, they even in the back of me. It's either fight or lose my life, and I can't take this passively. So what you think I'm about to do? I'm about to do what I can do. Trust the one who got me through and fight like it was after school. Never giving up, steady standing on the battlefield. Feet firm to the ground like I stepped on Chapel Hill. Flesh feeling frisky, sin persuasion cooks me. Satan chills me all guilt, followed by conviction. It's the same old trap where we fall like we defenseless. Focus sentence, grow with wisdom, stand firm and be relentless. Cause sin never sleeps. It's got me in a